Voilà.
It was Hélène Clauzel of France on the right in the black. Inge van der Heijden straight down in the green and white. Fem van Empel got a great start, as did Leonie Bentveld. We've got to give a big shout out as well to Zoe Roach from Great Britain. That showed Annemiek van Alphen going down on the first lap. And I think that also puts into perspective the ride that Van Alphen's done today.
Definitely, and there was another big crash down there a few back, and yeah, the start of that race was so important, wasn't it? But you can see if you're not in the first 2 or 3, you can't really pick a good line, and Van Empel was back in 6th spot at that point as Bentveld really decided that she was going to hammer this race and see what she could do.
Leonie Bentveld here got a great start, and I think this really bodes well, this ride today, for the rest of the season for Leonie.
Bentveld is definitely one to watch this year for me. I feel like she had a solid gap by the end of the first lap, and yes, the riders were able to come back, but she's really trying, and she's trying in different ways, and I think that we're going to see some really good things from her this year. I really expect that. And Clauzel, again, fighting and fighting the whole way around, but in the end, they all came together in one group around the sand section on lap 2.
Did indeed. Leonie Bentveld shouldering that bike on this course. See a little mistake there in the background from Hélène Clauzel. This shows just how tough the sand is as that front wheel just turns to the right. And I think today it's the bunny hop technique, I think, from Fem van Empel as well. Annemiek van Alphen, we've known for a long time, has been bunny hopping since she came into racing. We remember seeing Annemiek with Puk Pietersen when they were sort of the 17-year-olds bunny hopping a little bit further down the field. But I think that's a real warning sign for everyone else for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, and although we had a huge momentum from the first riders that were bunny hopping, like the likes of Ellen Noble, way back, and we've seen a real, as we're going to see here, as Van Alphen's back wheel slides out, and she just manages to keep pedaling and get more traction as she gets around that corner and heads out again. And yeah, it was important today for sure. It gave Van Empel the opportunity to make some moves, but at the end, it's Van Alphen can also bunny hop, and she can do it better than Van Empel can. So, you know, on this last lap, we saw that she chose not to do that because she didn't want to make a mistake and she didn't want to risk anything. So that's how she's not as confident as somebody like Annemiek van Alphen when it comes to that.
Indeed, Van Empel accelerating over Annemiek van Alphen here as we just get those picked up those back markers. And we have an 80% raw, but it just shows how quick they're going on that final lap. But she had that tucked down the front of her skin suit for the entire race. It's win number 50 for Fem van Empel. That's a real milestone as well for Fem.
And such a young rider to have that milestone. You know, I remember when Sven Nys was winning 50 super prestige races or things like that, but that was at the end of his career, whereas Van Empel was only 26.
Congratulations with your 50th win. You prepared the festivities well in advance with confetti and with the signs.
Yes, I went yesterday to the store to buy something, but the pressure was high on myself. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with the preparation as well. But yeah, first thing first, you need to win, and yeah. Luckily, it was as planned, so yeah, really happy.
What was the decisive moment for you in the race?
I think the last part, I put the pressure on Annemiek, and that was enough to create a gap.
Our top 10 looks like this here in Heerde. It's Fem van Empel from Annemiek van Alphen and Leonie Bentveld, our podium. Van der Heijden, Clauzel, Bakker, Verdonschot, Brouwers, Betsma and Callis, our top 10. That was a really interesting race. This course, relatively new on the calendar. We've only had 2 previous winners, but a really good addition.